Good evening. We begin tonight with a case that has captured the nation's attention ever since the rainy night 16 months ago when an unarmed teenager wearing a hoodie walked through the gated community where he was staying and was shot and killed by a man who says he was just trying to protect himself and his neighbors. Was George Zimmerman fed up, as prosecutors say, with punks getting away with crime, or was the killing in self-defense? The case entered its second day today. We turn now to my new Nightline co-anchor, Dan Abrams, for our series, Crime and Punishment.
On the record, case number 12-CF-1083A, State versus George Zimmerman.
In a Sanford, Florida courtroom, a jury of 6 women listened to the second day of testimony in the trial of George Zimmerman, accused of murdering 17-year-old Trayvon Martin as he walked home from a 7-Eleven.
Did you see any movement from Trayvon Martin's body as you approached him?
No, sir, I did not.
Pictures of the teenager's dead body and the now infamous hoodie he was wearing when he died were shown in court today. It was almost too much for his mother, Sabrina Fulton. Zimmerman, who sat stoically throughout the proceedings, has been living in hiding and gained over 100 pounds. The 29-year-old became a divisive symbol of racial tension in America.
Solidarity!
It all started 16 months ago when Martin was walking in a gated community where his father was staying, having just purchased a fruit drink and some Skittles, also on display in court today. It was there that he caught the attention of self-appointed neighborhood watch captain George Zimmerman, who called police.
This guy looks like he's up to no good, or he's on drugs or something. It's raining and he's just walking around looking about.
One of the most important questions in the case is what happened after the operator said this.
Are you following him?
Yeah.
Okay, we don't need you to do that.
Did Zimmerman continue to follow him, even stalk him, as prosecutors contend? Or was he simply trying to find his bearings, to give the police an address, as Zimmerman claims?
Because I didn't see a street sign here, but I knew if I went straight through that's Retreat View Circle.
What isn't in dispute is that there was a confrontation, and multiple neighbors called 911.
They're wrestling right in the back of my porch.
14 calls in 40 seconds.
Someone's yelling 2 doors down from me, screaming, hollering, help, help, help.
Then one gunshot.
I just heard a shot right behind my house.
Oh my God, it's someone to be shot.
That killed Trayvon Martin.
Yes, the person is dead, laying on the grass.
All along, Zimmerman admitted to firing the fatal shot, but claimed he had no choice and that he feared for his life. But was it self-defense, or did he attack Trayvon Martin with the intent to kill him?
Good morning, please be seated.
In opening statements yesterday, the prosecution wasted no time trying to answer that question.
Good morning. Punks. These they always get away.
Repeating expletives over and over that Zimmerman used when he called a non-emergency dispatch line, the prosecutor painted a picture of an aggressive George Zimmerman who profiled a hooded teen in his neighborhood.
The truth about the murder of Trayvon Martin is going to come directly from his mouth. From those hate-filled words that he used to describe a perfect stranger.
Jurors and spectators riveted to the prosecution's depiction of what happened that night.
You will know in your head, in your heart, in your stomach, that George Zimmerman did not shoot Trayvon Martin because he had to. He shot him for the worst of all reasons, because he wanted to.
The defense opened with a bizarre attempt at humor.
Knock, knock. Who's there? George Zimmerman. George Zimmerman, who? All right, good. You're on the jury. Nothing? That's funny.
After apologizing for the failed joke, defense attorney Don West spent nearly 3 hours meticulously detailing the timeline.
George Zimmerman saw Trayvon Martin over in this area as he was coming around here to go out to Target.
An effort to show that Zimmerman did not, could not, have continued to trail and then confront Martin, as prosecutors allege.
Mr. Zimmerman is sitting here on the phone with the police.
So now we have two completely contradictory stories. One in which Trayvon Martin was hunted, presumably because he was black, and he was profiled by Zimmerman. And another in which Zimmerman, doing his neighborhood watch duty, was disoriented, confused, and then jumped by Trayvon Martin.
Maybe most important for the defense, Zimmerman's injuries, which they say could only have been inflicted by Martin during a horrific beating.
There's this sense out there that this is a case about a guy who chased down Trayvon Martin. And yet the defense is saying that didn't happen.
The defense is saying, in fact, that Zimmerman himself was the victim.
As part of the investigation, Zimmerman reenacted the events with Sanford police.
Yeah, because all I could think about was when he was hitting my head against it, felt like my head was going to explode, and I thought I was going to lose consciousness.
The night in question, Zimmerman was taken into custody and answered questions for 5 hours. Police let him go, saying there was no evidence to contradict his self-defense claim. Photographs from that night show his nose broken and scalp cut and bleeding. But over the next several weeks, another side of the story emerged, one where Martin was the innocent victim.
Justice! Yeah! Justice!
Supporters accused the police of racism and campaigned to get national attention for Martin's case.
I'm brokenhearted that my son is gone, but it hurts even worse to know that somebody that murdered him has not been arrested.
6 weeks of protests, rallies, and student walkouts transfixed the nation. Even the president weighed in.
I can only imagine what these parents are going through. And when I think about this boy, I think about my own kids.
Zimmerman would not be charged with second-degree murder until April 11th, 45 days after the shooting.
It is the search for justice for Trayvon that has brought us to this moment.
But this remains a tricky case for prosecutors.
It's pretty clear from the moment the police arrived, Zimmerman says, I was attacked. The big picture's been pretty consistent.
But the question is, why was he attacked? And there are only two people who know the answer to that, and one of those two people is dead.
For now, Trayvon Martin's family has put its hopes for justice in the hands of the jury and are keeping his memory alive. He would have graduated from high school earlier this month.
Everything reminds me of him. When I see someone wearing a hoodie, when I see a teenager, when I see a kid listening to their earphones, kids walking home from school, everything reminds me of Trayvon.
For Nightline, I'm Dan Abrams in New York.